Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Patrick. Today, I've got my lovely guest, Jasmine. Hi, Jasmine. Welcome.
Thanks, Patrick. Hey there.
Hello. So, Jasmine, how I like to start off the podcast is have my guests introduce themselves, tell everyone how long we've known each other, and how we met.
So we've known each other since 2018, and I'm terrible at mental math. I know, pathetic, but I'm pretty sure that's about going on 4 years. And we worked together, which is the wonderful way that we met. And well, now we're best friends forever.
Of course. Absolutely. She did not coerce me to say that. Of course not. Um, no, it's true. I think I actually remember we met because I was the one leading an interview for a position where we work, and you're one of the candidates for a written test or something. So you got to see me awkwardly just sit there in the room while you're doing the test.
Exactly. And you were the voice of an angel telling me that I got the job and I was successful. So it was love at first sight slash phone call.
Slash phone call slash, oh, good, this person gave me good news.
Exactly.
Yes. All right then. So what we normally do here at Real Talk with Patrick is we either talk about a specific subject that we've already discussed in advance that we want to talk about, or we just pull from my magical teacup and pick a subject that we want to talk about. Now, when talking to you, you thought, let's just go with the teacup and see where things go. Sounds good?
Spontaneous is my middle name.
It absolutely is, but it's not in real life, people. But, anyways, let's just pull out a subject. Are you ready? I'm pulling her out.
Wrong.
Okay, I'm not going to cheat. Okay. The subject is interesting driving. So, I already know right away. Let's start off at the top. When did you learn how to drive?
Oh, when did I learn how to drive? Uh, Probably it was like 17, 18, 17 when I started the process. And then I think I had my full license by 18, 19. And
So,
I started.
not to cut you off, when you said 1718, I thought of the year 1718, and I was like, I'm pretty sure neither of us were alive back then, but okay, 1718, sure. Okay, yes, the age of 17 or 18.
Yeah, sorry, let me clarify.
Yes. Did you go to driving school or driver's ed, or did you just go learn on your own?
So I'm a Quebec resident, so our process is a little different than the Ontario side. So I was able to I had the book, I guess. I assume I had a book, and I studied what do they call it? The written part.
Yeah, the written test, yeah.
Yeah, the written test. So I studied for that, went in to do it, passed on my first try, excellent driver in theory. That's what we call it, the theory. And but then I did do the driving lessons with a school, but then my dad also obviously gave me lessons on the side.
Okay. Now, before we get into me and my stuff about driving, would you say that you were a fast learner, a quick learner? Did you make a lot of mistakes?
Oh, I was a natural.
You were a natural.
Oh, I
Well,
passed my actual driving exam on the first try. This girl can parallel park no problem. So yeah.
so I'm not familiar with the Quebec side, so I know you have your written and your regular test, like your street test. Do you have two street tests or just the one?
When I did it back in 1718, it was just the
It
one.
was just the one.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's a little different over here on the Ontario side.
Mhm.
So I could learn to drive. Oh my gosh, I'm probably getting the ages wrong, but 16 years old was when I could learn how to drive doing the written, or as they call it here, the G1.
Okay.
So the G1 is where you do your written test. And then obviously you have to have someone in the car with you at all times because you can't drive on your own. So I actually didn't pass my written the first time I did it. I got one or two questions wrong, and it just pushed me just to the non-passing mark. And it was because I'll blame them. It was the questions they used. They worded them in a certain way where it's like it could be tricky,
They
but
always do.
they always do. But luckily, with the written, you're able to take it again right away, and you just paid like an extra $10.
Okay, not bad.
So I did that, and I passed on the second try. So
Okay.
I did that, did my driving, and then I did. Is it for my. Yeah, my G2? Yeah. Then it was. I went to driver's ed because you had to wait a full year before you could do your G2 or like your second portion of your license
Hmm.
where you could drive on your own now, but you could only be out on the road so late. You could only have so many people in the vehicle. You could, like, I think, only have. I can't remember. There were all these rules. You have no alcohol, obviously, or anything. So, but if you went to driver's ed, your wait time got reduced. So you could
Hmm.
go after, I think, 8 months instead of waiting 12 months.
Okay, maybe there's something similar.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe there's something similar, but
Yeah. So I went to driver's ed, and because I lived in the country, it was like during the summertime, and it was, of course, with almost all the kids in my grade because, of course, it's the country. That's who everyone goes to. There's like the one driving school in town. But that was good. I was very fortunate this driving school because there were two. This was like the private one, or there's the one through the school, I guess. So
okay.
the one through the school, it was like group drivers ed. So when you'd have to go out on the road, there were a bunch of yous in the car
Oh,
and you
weird.
would take turns,
Oh, strange.
which yeah, so the
It's
private it's extra stressful. So luckily the private one that I went to, it's just one-on-one,
okay.
which is better but also super awkward, right? Because then it's just you awkwardly sitting in silence with the instructor.
Yeah.
And because we lived in the country and not close to the city, when you had to learn like highways or like street roads and this and that or certain things, you'd have to travel to the city to learn.
Oh, that's odd.
Yes, so and like to get to the city, it was always about like 40 minutes to get to because that's how far we lived in the country.
Holy smokes.
So we'd have to take the highway and then go downtown Ottawa and then learn all the side streets, the one ways, the this, the that, and getting on and off the highway. And so that was always fun. And then luckily, I didn't have to do any parallel parking downtown,
Okay.
just like at like side streets or like roads, main roads in the country in Kempville.
Okay.
But yeah, so then I did my G2, passed flying colors. And then you had to wait, I think, another 8 months or a year before you could do your G, which is your full license.
Oh, long
It's a
process.
long process. And then I passed and got my full license right away because I went to the one in Smith Falls
Okay.
for my full license because the one in Winchester, which is not too far from Kempville, you could do your G2 license there, but then you needed to go to Smith Falls or into Ottawa to do your G license because that's where they either took you on the highway or made you do emergency stops and stuff like that. And Winchester had no highways.
Right. Big city. You gotta go to the big city.
Gotta go to the big city. But that was driving for me. Now, I do remember when I was learning. Look at me, I'm talking away. I do remember when I was learning. My mom and dad both taught me, and my dad was a panicker, so he'd be like, "Watch out for that! Watch out for that! Watch out for that!" And then he'd like just throw his hands up in the air, cover his eyes, and like scream, but not tell me what I need to watch out for.
That's
Where
not
my
stressful at all.
No, of course not. But
Right.
then my mom was the absolute opposite. We would be driving down like the highway or something, and quiet, peaceful, all of a sudden she'd yell, "Deer!" to see if I would flinch or majorly react. And she's like, "Good, you remained calm."
Just throwing obstacles that don't even exist in your way.
Exactly. So that was kind of like my driving experience. Also, I did do my tests, my two driving tests in a minivan.
Oh, that's not a small feat.
No, so I can always say, hey, I did it in a minivan. I didn't do it in a car. I did it in a van, which is harder.
Wait, those blind spots, because that's where
Hmm.
they like to catch you, right? You
Yeah,
fail. Head's constantly turning side to side, show you're watching your blind spots. But in a
yeah,
minivan, ooh,
yeah. And it wasn't one of those fancy minivans that had like all the little cheating cameras and stuff. It
this
was
is
just,
17, 18.
yeah, this was 17, 18 here. This was like horse and buggy minivan. But yeah, that was driving. Do you have anything else you want to add about driving? Any past memories, thoughts?
Driving. Love to drive. Love to drive, and favorite thing to do is, crack up or crank up, sorry, the tunes and sing along. The best part of going for a drive.
Yeah. What's your go-to songs usually?
Spontaneity is my middle name. My playlist, my all of my songs are typically on shuffle, all of them, so I never know what's going to come up. That can lead to like chronic skipping, but
Mhm.
sometimes Spotify gets it right. How about you?
Right. Um, so for me, usually on a road trip, it's always like a lot of classic pop from like the 90s and the early 2000s. But again, a lot of shuffle with a lot of skipping sometimes. But I always forget this song, but I always enjoy it when it comes on during a road trip. So usually Shut Up and Drive by Rihanna.
Ah, yes.
Hmm.
Classic. Your
That's
girl Riri.
my girl Riri. That's a classic for me. Um, Obviously a lot of Britney.
I
Britney's
can't go
good.
wrong with Brittany. Oh my! And you know what? On the way up to the cottage this summer, "Hit Me Baby One More Time."
Mm,
Oh my goodness, that beat! I'm sorry, you can't replicate it.
yeah. Hit Me Baby One More Time. I think I remember just driving one day with some friends and that came on and it was like, ugh, roll down all the windows, crank that up. We're going all out.
Yes,
Yeah.
tune, great tune.
But driving also, though, comes with road rage sometimes. So, Jasmine, now it's time to be honest. Do you have road rage?
You know what? I do. I am a very confident driver, and I have zero patience for nonsense on the road. And so, if you can't drive, get off the road.
Have you
Believe
flipped
it or
someone
not.
off?
No, I'm also a very kind person, so I might be freaking out inside of my car, but I won't shame you.
Okay. Have you honked angrily?
Uh, I have when people have put my life in danger. They're swerving all over the place. You have no idea what's going on. But I never want to shame anybody because you have no idea what day they are having. And perhaps it has triggered their poor driving or they suck at driving. I don't know. But I'd rather not be that person to make somebody's day worse because of road rage. You know what I mean?
Okay. I'd say I'm also a bit of a rager sometimes, as they call it. Um, Usually it's slow drivers.
Yes.
They're the ones that always get me, or on the highway, it's the constant lane changers.
Or the ones that are in the fast lane that aren't going fast. I
Yeah,
can feel my butt like bubbling already. I'm pretty sure even a few times we've driven
yeah,
had road rage together. Like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
yeah,
Get off the road.
yeah, pretty much. But I mean, you and I do have some road rage, but I think we like handle it well.
Yes,
We keep it in check for the most part, but unfortunately, sometimes I can feed off of each other sometimes too.
absolutely.
But also driving another thing you have to come clean is have you ever gotten any tickets?
Good question, Patrick. This girl has gotten zero
Oh,
tickets,
good
except
for
for a
you.
parking ticket. I've got a parking ticket a few times, but not many, considering I've been driving since 17, 18.
Hmm.
Yeah, not bad. Only parking, never speeding, never anything like that.
You know what? Honestly, same here. I've
Mhm.
only gotten one parking ticket ever, nothing else. And it ticked me off that I got the ticket because I was going to meet someone on a date and I parked downtown in one of those parking lots.
Yeah.
And I think we were meeting around 6:10 or something, 6:15. And you know how downtown is sometimes with their signage and
Uh,
stuff. So it had like that machine where you could pay for parking to put the slip in the window. But I'm like, it's after 6. I think it says after 6 it's free. That's fine. So I didn't put a ticket because I'm like, it's fine. I swear, bylaw was waiting. They were waiting in that parking lot because when I came back later and found the ticket, they issued the ticket literally 2 minutes after I walked away from my car.
yeah, they were totally waiting.
Hmm.
They were totally waiting.
Yeah.
No, honestly, parking tickets. I actually got a parking ticket while working.
Ugh.
I was on site and, I didn't think, like, I was in what area? Oh my goodness, like near Ottawa U. And I didn't think, like, I was over by a bit, but, like, who's circulating at this time of the day? Bylaw is,
See, I also thought of fighting my ticket, but I was like, ugh, the hassle of having to go in person and do it. I'm like, just shut up and pay it online and let it go. Like,
work in the building.
I was just like, shut it. Me, just pay the ticket, let it go. I don't care. Get away, ignore it, whatever.
Oh my
But yeah. And final question about driving, car accidents.
Ah, good one. Uh, Car accidents. So I've only been in one car accident, thankfully, and I wasn't at fault. I was stopped at a light. I was actually at the Hazeldean and oh my goodness, Hazeldean. I don't know, around going into Stittsville, and I was waiting at a red light. There was a minivan in front of me, and we were all going to be turning left, and we're stopped. There was no going. Our light was red, and this Beamer, I guess, wasn't paying attention and rear ends me and bangs me into the minivan ahead of me. And I had a Honda Civic at the time, a two-door Honda Civic. Cops showed up and they're like, yeah, just tell us what happened. And I was like, yeah, I was just sitting here. No, no, no. Guy ran me. He's like, yeah. And this jerk comes up and I was like, yeah, he just hit me. Um, Luckily, I was able to drive my car home. I wasn't alone. My partner was with me. And we drove home. I do have a back injury that's never really recuperated from whiplash, I guess. Um, but shortly after, my car stopped working. Like I
Mhm.
couldn't turn the ignition. So I ended up making an insurance claim. I got reimbursed uh, almost the full amount that I paid for the car
Wow.
and put that towards my Mazda that I still drive.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the only car accident. How about you?
So I've been in the odd like fender bender, but I don't consider those like car accidents. Um, like a fender bender usually has like no scratches, no nothing. It's like a oops, sorry, or whatever. Or it's like with another parked vehicle And I've done like the whole note thing. I think I've done the note thing. I'm sure I've done the note thing. Let's say I've done the note thing. Um, but a car accident, kind of similar to you, but not similar. So I was on the highway. I was on the 417 during rush hour going home. And the cars in front were stopping, and they had stopped, and I had stopped because they're like we were stopped. And I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw this giant truck bolting right at me, and I'm like, they're not going to stop in time. Sure enough, she smashes into me and propels me. And I was far enough from the car in front of me, propels me right into the car in front of me. So we all pull over to the side of the highway, get out. She apologizes. And I know in Canada, they've now passed that law, I think in 2009, where apology doesn't mean you're claiming fault, because that's a thing that can happen, but not in Canada. Anyways, she had two dogs with her in her truck, loose,
Oh no.
and the dogs are fine. Because I know that's what you were worried about. Um, Anyways, the guy in front of me when we pulled over, he came like to me pissed, and I was like, "Don't look at me. It was her. It's all her fault. She smashed into me, pushed me into you." So his car was somewhat fine. Her truck, it's a truck, is fine. My car, damage on both ends. So
Or were you driving then?
I was driving the Mazda still.
Oh,
I
okay.
still have the Mazda. So we collect all the information. She wasn't even from town. She lived in Kingston.
Um,
Uh-huh. Anyways, so took a copy of like license and registration and her insurance, which her insurance showed that it was expired, but I was like, whatever, not my problem. That's a you problem. Um, I was alone, got home, didn't call the police because it was one of those, should we call the police? Should we not call the police? We all have the information. We're all okay. Let's just go. It's rush hour. Let's just go. So got home right away, called my insurance, filed a claim. So got the car repaired. But yeah, kind of like you, I still kind of to this day whiplash and my back and stuff. I had to go to physio for a while and everything because it was like kind of pretty bad whiplash, they said. But whatever, they repaired my car and
mm,
now it was good as new. So took it, and yeah, cars, man. I tell you, sometimes they're death traps.
yep, love them, but you hate them.
Yeah, they get you to point A to point B, but you always have to be careful. But we're the best drivers, clearly. It's everyone else's fault.
And that is totally the case.
Yes. Now, if we're done with driving, I thought we could do maybe one more subject before the end of the podcast. All right, it's time for our next subject. Let me go ahead and pull her out. This and that, shaking, shaking, shaking. And, well, Jasmine, looks like it's photography. I
Ooh,
know how much of a photography fanatic you can be sometimes.
yes.
So, before we get into your photography, I'll talk about my photography first, get the boring stuff out of the way.
Huh.
So, there was a photography class in my high school, and it was offered to grade 12 students, but it was the most popular class for some reason that it was always hard to get into. There was always a long wait list,
Mm.
this, that, and the other thing. So I ended up never taking photography.
Oh, he didn't.
No,
Oh.
I didn't take it because there was the wait list, this and that. So I ended up just deciding, you know what, skip photography. Let's just go somewhere else. So I ended up taking, I took yearbook, obviously, because yearbook was a class, and
Yep, same here. I did
yeah,
that.
and earth studies.
Interesting.
I mean, there were a bunch of other classes I took, but I think those were like the two. I think I took yearbook when I didn't have to because I could have just had an extra spare.
Oh,
But I was
okay.
like, oh no, I want to be part of the yearbook. Earth Studies was the one I took because I had to take something like better. I have no clue what it was. I don't know why I did. I don't know how it worked. But anyways, Earth Studies, and that was boring as sin.
Kind of sounds boring.
Super boring. But anyways, that's like, and then I got a camera for my parents' anniversary. Actually, hold on, I'm gonna get it for um, our video viewers. So this was the camera,
Ooh, a classic.
the classic Sony CyberShot camera. Don't even know if it still works. Probably does. But
Cell phone probably takes better photos at this point.
yeah. But yes, this was the camera that I got my parents for their anniversary because before that it was always just oh my gosh. What is it? The cameras that you take to the to get processed. What are those called?
What? The cameras that
Like
you do?
the camera that you would buy. Disposable cameras.
Can't even remember the name.
Disposable cameras. We used to use disposable cameras before that. This was the first ever like reusable camera that we had.
I know
So
we went after the term reusable camera.
the reusable camera. So we used to. So I bought them this. I think it was like expensive at the time, right? Because this was a big deal,
It was.
and so I used this for like some photo taking and stuff and whatever. But we also had like the crappiest computers at the time.
Right.
So, and these cameras came with that like long cable. I think all cameras still do.
No, they now do uploads via Wi-Fi.
What?
Yep.
So I had to use that cable to like connect it, or even if you wanted to like show pictures on the TV, you had that long cable that you plug with the cords. So that's what we use. So this baby got us through like our first New York trip in 2002. Um,
Yeah.
it got us through a lot of stuff, but this was the camera I used, and I think I only did like some super fancy ones, but like it had all these features. It had like snow feature or water
Yes.
feature, landscape, nighttime, person at night, a timed one, video. Like this was the thing. But anyways, that's like the closest I've gotten to photography minus like Instagram taking selfies and pictures on your phone. But I know you're a bit of a photography person, so why don't you tell us about that?
Well, photography is something that I got into during COVID. And it was always something that I wanted to get into. And, I had one of those old school cameras as well, the reusable cameras, as you call it. And then obviously our phones were able to take much better photos. And so felt like I was always good at getting a good shot. So the ones that I like to use, and this guy is older than your reusable camera. Look,
Oh,
Ollie
wow.
here.
Oh my goodness, a Polaroid.
A Polaroid, baby. Can you hear it even powering up?
Yes.
Like the
Now,
reusable ones?
before you go into your story about Polaroids, so we never had a Polaroid camera,
Okay.
but our friends had a Polaroid camera when I was a child. And you know how you had to like usually after you take the picture you'd like wave your hand around with the little picture to have it develop
Yes.
because it usually sometimes needed like heat or like warmth or like
Actually, a myth.
it's a myth.
Yeah, they say just leave it in like a darker space and let it develop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it was funny though because I was always considered warm blooded or I was always warm and hot. So when we would take pictures with the Polaroid camera outside in the wintertime, they would hold the picture to my head and it would develop a lot faster than it would outside just on its own. But that's the only thing I have about Polaroids. Carry on.
Well, that guy, that little gem, I haven't named my Polaroid, but I guess it is a Polaroid. So the film for that is extremely expensive for 8 sheets. So it's a bit of a, I don't know how you would put it, but that's on special occasions. You pull out the Polaroid.
So Taylor Swift's 1984 album where she has all those Polaroid pictures, she must have dropped a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, but it's T Swift.
Of
So,
course.
exactly. And then this guy, let me unveil. This guy has a name.
Okay.
And this is a Sony A6000 mirrorless camera. Let me just pull. This wonderful little guy is named Sam
Oh, very cute.
of Meet Sam Photography. So
Yes.
I did start doing it, and I started an Instagram page called Meet Sam Photography, and just having fun with it and exploring and learning all the new techniques with it, and hoping that maybe some people might connect with the photos. And I believe one of your previous guests, Gavin, was the first person to purchase a Meet Sam Photography photo.
Oh, really?
Yes, his choice was of the Ottawa Locks by the canal.
Oh, wow, that's fair. Look at you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We love people that support local photographers and artists.
Yes, so maybe one day he'll be really rich if I become successful. So go love my stuff.
Yes. So you said you've always been a fan and COVID got you into it. Now, what was it about COVID that all of a sudden made you decide, hey, I'm going to start taking pictures?
I decided to get serious about my talents. Maybe am I going out on a limb saying I've got talent? I don't know. I guess time will tell. But I know that it was something that I wanted to explore. And so, like many things that I've been exploring during COVID, because what else are we going to do? Decide to explore that avenue of one of many little things for us to keep busy during COVID. So,
Okay. Now, I have checked your Instagram account. Love it. Meet Sam Photography. Um, and I've noticed there's been some different types of pictures. There's been ones of animals or your dog and
thank you.
land landscape pictures and sometimes I don't know photography terms, but I'm going to say portraits or like of a person profile. So what's kind of your favorite? Do you have a specific favorite?
That's a really good question. And I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite. I love portraits, but I also love candid shots of people in motion. I find those are um, the best photos one can have of themselves just living life instead of posing in, a way that you want to be seen. When they're candid, it's as you are living life. And those are the ones that will mean the most later on because it's a snapshot of your life at any given time. Just you doing you, you being you. And I try and capture, based on what I know of a person, I try and capture what I feel is, I don't know, their truest form or one of the best parts of them. I don't know whether they're funny or they're goofy or they're sexy or they're just really kind. I try and capture that. And hopefully in time I'll get really good at it. But I'm not too shabby, I don't think, at this point.
I think you're pretty awesome.
Thanks.
So candid photos. I love candid photos personally, but I always wonder if they really are candid or are they staged to look candid. Now, obviously some can be staged, obviously, but what do you think of a staged candid? Do you think it's just being fake and shoving it in our face that, oh, look, I'm trying so hard to be candid. Like sometimes those wedding photos of like the couple laughing or something like that, that really look amazing and really are the best sometimes. I'm like, is that really just a candid shot of them laughing or was that staged? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's a time and place for everything. Those stage ones add an element of, I guess, creativity and trying to capture the mood on that day. But I think really a photographer, even though they appear to be staged, and like obviously you go out to a park and you take some pictures, you didn't happen to be walking there on your wedding day. You planned to go there. So there's some element of it that's staged. But I think depending on the photographer, and if they really know the couple, they'll be able to capture those truly candid moments within that event and within that, I don't know, within the park, even though it's a staged photo shoot. I think a good photographer would be able to get those truly warm, heartwarming shots that a couple, let's say, on their wedding day are looking for.
Okay.
But that being said, for events, I understand the staged, candid shots, but otherwise it should be natural. Otherwise, it feels like fast food.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Now, as a photographer, do you prefer outdoor shots, indoor shots, natural lighting? Uh, I don't know the word for fake lighting.
I love outdoors and I love natural light and I love natural scenery. But when you're really narrowing in on the detail, you know, one of my favorite shots, and it was one of the first ones I took with my camera when I got it, my dog Ziggy, his paws. And it was just his paws, and he's a tricolor dog. And you could see like the wood grain of the hardwood floor because he was just sleeping, and just the contrast and the graininess in the floor and the softness of his little paw pads. I think you can find some really neat elements and details like that.
Interesting. That's always interesting. Now, I've been part of a photo shoot before, not a professional photo shoot, but one where it was like a bunch of friends and I went out. One of them had like a camera, kind of like a fancy one. I call them fancy ones, fancy cameras, and a tripod.
Oh.
And we went out to a dog park, actually, like out in the woods.
Okay.
And it was winter time, so it was like throwing snow in the air and all that stuff. And
I
it
think I
was,
remember that one.
yeah. And one of my favorite candid moments, because it was a candid moment, it wasn't faked, was I was wearing earmuffs because I don't know what it is. I like earmuffs at winter time, even though personally I don't think I can always pull them off. But earmuffs, and I like grabbed them on the side while I was laughing and smiling while snow was falling. Now, what season would you say might be your favorite?
Ooh, that is a tough one. Considering I only got my camera in August, I've only had the opportunity to really shoot in the fall, I guess summery, but really fall and winter. Although I haven't taken any winter shots, I've been bad. Um, I'm really looking forward to taking shots in the spring because spring is my favorite season and catching, the rebirth and the growing of the trees and the opening of flowers and all of that fun stuff. So I'm looking forward to being able to take a shot at those, no pun intended.
Oh dear. Okay. All right, settle down now. Okay. Well, it's been honestly a blast talking with you. I know it's already coming to an end already. I could talk to you forever.
Right.
But what I like to do at the end of our podcast, my podcast, is I like to ask my guests a spontaneous question
Ooh.
and I'll answer it as well. So I have Two for you, though. All right. So, my questions for you are, since we were talking about photography,
Hmm.
which famous person living would you like to photograph and why? And then, which destination in the world, wherever, would you like to photograph and why?
Wow, that is a good question. And one that I've never even thought of. um, who would I would like to photograph and where? You know what? I don't even know. I don't even have an answer for you. Uh, as you know, I love out west and I love the mountains and I'm a mountain girl. Um, so I would love to be able to get some shots of the mountains. But to be honest, my favorite thing to do would be to photo, like shoot regular people doing regular things. In all
Okay.
honesty, just people in their element. Would the right answer be to shoot Patrick?
That would be the right answer because that's both where ish and then famous person, me, of course.
Of course.
That's the
And I
best
would love
answer.
to do. Would love to. And you know, as I mentioned, the next collection that I'm thinking of for hands, I was thinking of you.
Ooh, maybe.
Model.
Hand model, you never know. Okay, well, so when I asked you the question, I'm like, oh, what would I say? So, famous person, sorry, Jasmine, it wasn't going to be you.
All right.
I was going to say, I don't want to be cliche and be like, "Ah, Rihanna, because I do love Rihanna. Um,
I don't want to steal your thunder, but I feel like I also know a second somebody,
ooh, who?
Ariana.
Ooh, Ariana would be another good one. Ariana would be good. Oh my gosh, famous person. Honestly, you know what? Michelle Obama.
Wow.
Like, I think she would be a good person to photograph,
Hmm,
because even her photo of her on the front page of her book is an awesome photo.
it is.
And I don't know what it is, but I find she's very glamorous without being intentionally glamorous. It's just who she is. It's like it's just what she brings out. And I mean, what she was wearing at the Biden inauguration was gorgeous.
She always knocks it out of the
She
park.
always knocks it out of the park. So I think I'd like to photograph Michelle Obama.
Hmm.
Um, Location wise, for me, uh, I like how you said the mountains for me. I'm someone that really enjoys the woods.
Mm,
So I would probably think like somewhere deep in the woods or like where there's a nice little waterfall or even like a small lake or river passing through, something like that. Because that's always been, maybe that can be a subject for the future, but that was like the woods with like a river or a waterfalls, kind of like, when you're supposed to go to sleep and you're trying to think of like your happy place.
yes.
That's my happy place.
Nice.
So something like that, I'd say.
Okay.
But yeah,
Good one. I
right?
feel like you prepped for that because now I kind of want to say Michelle Obama. But
I mean, I didn't really prep for it. It just came to my mind, but I know I have the greatest answers. It's fine. um, but like I said, that's the end of our podcast today. Thank you so much for being a guest. Did you have some fun?
oh my goodness, it's always loads of fun. I'd say maybe a little too much fun. I don't want it to end.
I know. Well, I'm sure I'll have you back because you've been a wonderful guest. And is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Well, just thank you for watching, supporting my bestie. Patrick. And I hope you stay tuned and continue following for the next best video. Maybe I'll be back.
Maybe she'll be back. She'll more than likely be back. But so thanks again for everyone listening to Real Talk with Patrick. You can always find the podcast wherever podcasts are found: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, anything like that. Don't forget to check out Meet Sam Photography on Instagram. Be sure to give a follow, thumbs up, likes, everything. Give some love to my friend here. And until next time, have a great day. Goodbye.
Toodles.